Okay, today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of selling a property in New Brunswick. So if you own a property in New Brunswick, New Jersey, this video is for you. Before we begin, I'd love if you can subscribe to the channel, click that little bell icon below the video. You'll get notifications and updates anytime we come out with a new video. And if you're on this channel, chances are you're interested in a lot of the content that we're coming up with. So pros and cons of selling in New Brunswick. Well, Pete, what would be a pro to selling in New Brunswick if I own a home in New Brunswick? Well, for starters, most of the people who own in New Brunswick, fair or not, are landlords. So if you are a landlord, no more rent control. Yay, you don't have to worry about rent control, right? Because you're selling in New Brunswick. You also don't have to worry about housing inspections anymore if you are selling your property. That's one other thing to rejoice in if you're a landlord. Now, if you're not a landlord, well, I got good news. There's a housing shortage in New Brunswick. We have plenty of people. We do not have enough bedrooms or properties for people to live in town. And this is not just a New Brunswick problem, by the way. This is like national, but it definitely applies to New Brunswick. So there's a housing shortage on top of an already hot real estate market. So what do you think that means for your home? It means if you price it properly, there's going to be a ton of demand. So that's a great thing. The other pro, I would say, is the homes are older. So again, like a lot of deferred maintenance that might be coming up, you no longer have to worry about it, which is awesome. Some cons. Now, when you go to sell the home, there will be a CCO inspection, and those could be tough. They usually will, point out that anything that's really wrong with the home, and usually the seller is responsible to pay for that unless you've negotiated that with the buyer before the transaction. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like, you'll probably have to budget some money to do that, or you want to prepare to do that ahead of time. And if you want to, here's some tips, I would say, on what to look for with your home. So if there's any peeling paint, make sure that's painted. If your railings are loose, make sure they're secured. If you have any ripped window screens, make sure you have functioning screens and on every window, okay? Otherwise you'll get dinged for that. Make sure you have smoke detectors with a 10-year sealed battery backup in them and that they're in the correct locations. Make sure you have fire extinguishers that are 2A-10BC. If it's not that fire extinguisher, you will fail inspection. Those are just a couple of things that you have to worry about when you're doing the CO inspection. Now, the other thing is, I did say it's an older home, so that's a pro, but it's also a con because now you're selling the home and the next buyer who's coming in, he or she is like, well, wait a minute. This might have knob and tube wiring. There might be a slate roof. You might have an oil tank. You might have, single pane wood windows. You might have galvanized pipe. There's, a couple different hurdles there that you're going to have to worry about. But overall, those are some of the pros and cons of selling in New Brunswick. So hopefully you found this helpful. And if you are ready to sell, please give me a call and I'd be more than happy to help you. Or you could drop a comment here or email me. We will include that in the description of the video so that way you know how to get in contact with me.